Hi, this is Scott McClymans from Office Pride Commercial Cleaning in Springdale, Arkansas, as well as CEO of Velocity Coaching. Today we're going to talk about wisdom for business owners. And if you're anything like me, you need more wisdom. That is something I strive for every single day. So we're going to talk about wisdom over the course of this series. And let's just talk about, first of all, what is wisdom? Well, if you look at lexico.com, it's the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment, and the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. So it's not just being smart or intelligent or having a lot of book sense or book knowledge or degrees behind your name. It doesn't have anything necessarily to do with how well educated you are or aren't. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your IQ, but rather it assumes that you have experience in life or in certain aspects of life, that you have acquired knowledge, and you've been able to take that experience and that knowledge and put them together to make good judgments. So that is the definition of wisdom, at least from lexico.com. And what can wisdom do for us? Well, it can do a number of things for us. First of all, it can help us understand what is and isn't ethical behavior. It can help us set priorities. I mean, I'm in the midst of planning for a new year, planning goals and thinking about priorities. I need wisdom to be able to do that. I have clients, I'm sure you do too. I've got team members, family members. I need to build strong, trusting, peaceful relationships with all of them. And so wisdom can help me do that. So all of us come across many types of decisions, some easy, some more difficult, but particularly when you get to the more difficult situations, you want to have good, solid decision-making criteria, and that's a benefit we can get from wisdom. Now, we all have a lot of different opportunities. So, should I start this business? Should I start a new product line? Should I fire an employee? Should I open a new business? Should I expand my territory, for example? Should I go make an acquisition? So wisdom can help us through those very difficult situations. So you can hire the right people. I mean, I'm in my office now, and on my whiteboard is something from Proverbs. It says, like an archer, somebody who shoots an arrow, right? Like an archer who wounds at random is he who hires a fool or a passerby. So just hire anybody off the street because they're breathing, just because you need people. Well, Proverbs tells us not to do that. And in so doing, invites us to ask questions regarding that person's character, their abilities, their motivations, etc. So it helps us in hiring the right people. And you may have looked at a previous set from Proverbs, a series from Proverbs that I did on Proverbs 31, King Lemuel, and he talked about leading his organization, and it was on the advice of his mother. And so Proverbs, or rather wisdom, gives us insights into how to lead our organizations as well as how to look for and develop other leaders, because that's critical. You can only grow to the extent that you build an excellent leadership team. And it also teaches us, wisdom does, to build a strong, successful culture. You want to have a culture that invites people in, that makes them want to stay, that makes them want to be a part of it. a part of something great, not something toxic. And so, wisdom, that experience, that knowledge, that sound judgment combined together, thinking about how to develop that culture, that will really be a benefit of wisdom. And then financially, we all want to run profitable companies. So, wisdom will help you in saving money. It'll push you towards saving and investing as well as minimizing debt. So, that's all fine and good, but where can you get wisdom? Well, we all get it from a number of places. I mean, I've got hundreds of business books, videos, DVDs. I'm involved in peer groups, several different peer groups from people in my industry. Actually, three different peer groups from fellow business owners, entrepreneurs within my own industry. And it's just great to get insights from other people. I'm part of a trade association, BSCAI. They have wonderful conferences, publications, training, etc. And so it's really beneficial to glean from peer groups, trade associations, uh, conferences, whether they're in your industry or not. So uh, I go to conferences, whether they're on floor care or leadership or operations, whatever. You can glean a ton from good conferences. Schools and universities, all right, those are options. They oftentimes teach us facts, not necessarily wisdom, but if we get good professors, we can glean wisdom from universities. I've had plenty of coaches. I have a couple coaches right now, and I've had many coaches throughout my career, just helping me sort through all the different things that I was thinking about, looking at skill sets, personnel, priorities, whatever. And so you also have your own experiences, and you don't want to shortchange that. A lot of us feel like we haven't done anything, yet we are full of experience. And so it's good to look back and understand different situations and how they did or did not go well and what you would do differently. So we might lose a customer sometime. We have. And so we always go back and say, why did that happen? What were the steps? How'd that relationship unravel? Or how did we get a great customer? What did we do? What steps did we take, etc.? And of course, you've got other people's experiences, which are extremely beneficial. Might not just be a coach, it could be a parent, it could be a boss, it could be a mentor, it could be your team members, it could be somebody in your church. Who knows? There are myriad ways to glean from other people's experiences. And then, of course, the world is full of amazing podcasts and webinars. I'm a couple of the ones that I really like to listen to. I like to listen to anything by Donald Miller. I like to listen to EOS podcasts, Entrepreneurial Operating System, and there are a host of others. And of course, this is a study on Proverbs. So I want to talk to you about the ultimate source of wisdom, which of course is God's wisdom. So what is Proverbs? Well, you can find it in the Old Testament of the Bible. It's part of what's called wisdom literature. So there's Job, Song of Solomon, Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, and then some also include James in the New Testament. So Proverbs was primarily written by King Solomon, and I'll touch upon him on the next slide. But one interesting thing is it has 31 chapters. So it's got one for each day of the month. And I've had people encourage me to read a chapter of Proverbs a day. And I've done that a number of times, but there's so much meat that it's hard to absorb one whole chapter of wisdom at one time. So I tend to go a little bit more slowly. And Proverbs contains truisms, not not hard and fast laws or rules. So what I mean by that, it'll say, for example, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he'll not depart from that. Well, does that mean that if you train your child perfectly, that they're going to turn out perfect, never commit any crimes, or go to do anything harmful, go to prison, whatever? It doesn't mean that. But what it means is that this is generally true. If you do this, this will generally happen, right? So those are truisms. And they're applicable to any situation in life. So whether it's your family, your uh, your children, your marriage, your social, your friends, your business, you can take these truisms, this book of wisdom, and apply it to any situation in life. But it does require thoughtful analysis and application. So you've got to really think about sometimes, like it'll say what not to do. And sometimes you have to flip that and say, okay, if this is what's not to do, then what's the opposite of that? So you flip it and you say, okay, this is what to do then. And so it does require analysis, and it might not be speaking directly to a particular business situation. So you've got to be able to take that and pull it out of the text, that truism, that principle, and learn to apply it to your specific situation, your specific business, sometimes a specific relationship in your business. And so as we go through this series, we'll do some of that analysis. I'll guide you to do some of that analysis and show you how I do it, and then you can develop your own skills or methodologies. So the final thing I want to leave you with today is the author. I want you to meet King Solomon. He wrote most of Proverbs. And so he was an ancient Israelite king. He was the son of David, who is Israel's greatest king. And at the time, he became the wisest and wealthiest man of his time. Some would say that he was the wealthiest and wisest man who ever lived and who ever will live. I don't know about that, but when I read about the wealth that he had and the prosperity he brought to the nation that he led, it's certainly overwhelming. It was definitely substantial. And so the interesting thing here is that God asked him a question. He said, Solomon, you just ask me for anything. And of all the things Solomon could have asked for, he asked God for wisdom to lead his people and nation and to know right from wrong. And so I just want to read you that right now. This is found in 2 Kings chapter 3. So this is God talking to Solomon. At verse 5, he says, That night the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream. And God said, What do you want? Ask, and I'll give it to you. Solomon replied, Well, you showed great and faithful love to my dad, David, because he was honest and true and faithful to you. And you've continued to show this great and faithful love to him today by giving him a son, me, Solomon, to sit on his throne. Now, O Lord my God, you've made me king instead of my father David, but I'm like a little child in my understanding. I don't know my way around. And here I am in the midst of your chosen people, this great nation Israel. So great and numerous they can't even be counted. So, here's my request to you. Verse 9. Give me an understanding heart, right? Give me wisdom so I can govern your people well and know the difference between right and wrong. For who by himself is able to govern this great people of yours. And then it goes on, it said, Lord was pleased, Solomon had asked God for wisdom. And so he says, because you asked for wisdom and have not asked for a long life or wealth or the death of your enemies, I'll give you what you asked for. And I'm going to give you a wise and understanding heart like no one else has ever had. And I'm going to even give you what you didn't ask for. I'm going to give you riches and fame, so no other king in the world will be compared to you for the rest of your life. So that's interesting, right? Think about the fact that Solomon says, look, I'm the king. I can't do it on my own. Who can? So, God, I need you to give that to me more than anything else. And so I would suggest to you, I know I'm suggesting it to myself, more than just suggesting. God, I need wisdom. You need wisdom. Business is complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of changing markets and competitors and changing technologies and customer situations, employee situations. I mean, so many things that are out of our control, just like they were out of Solomon's control. Yeah, he was in charge, but there are so many situations where you get blindsided, where things you didn't even anticipate come up. So I would suggest to you that we need a lot of wisdom. So that's going to be the main theme as we go through Proverbs, is helping each other learn from Proverbs how to acquire wisdom. And I hope you'll join me as we go through this. Thank you.